The Phillies beat the Giants with 2 in the ninth, 4-3. A ball that might have even been a double play ball had Doval not touched it at all. But he shot the glove up and redirected that ball to the backside of Estrada, who had started toward the middle, and it went back behind him, and he never got a glove on it.
Does anybody else want to do the show tonight? Is there anybody out there that would love to do the night slot tonight? Oh, my goodness. When it rains and pours, Giants are snake bit right now. Whatever move the skipper makes doesn't work. You think they're going to Kyle Harrison's debut, he spit the hook. They came back 3-2. Jock Peterson with a double in the gap. And you're thinking they're going to win that game and things are going to turn around. The kid's going to inject some energy in this team, a spark, if you will, from a 22-year-old, just 22-year-old. He goes 3 1/3, gives up 2 runs on 5 hits, strikes out 5 Phillies. His first major league strikeout was Trey Turner. His fastball was 97. The youngest starting pitcher for the Giants since Madison Bumgarner. It looked like things were going to turn around tonight, and then they didn't. So I don't even know where to go with this one. Lots to talk about. Start with the positive. The kid looked good tonight. I mean, hey, you gave up a home run to Bryce Harper in a small ballpark that's a double in 98% of ballparks. Low line drive gets out of there. That place is a bandbox. And yay, I gave up my first home run to Bryce Harper. That's kind of a cool thing to say, to be honest. I mean, that's nothing to hang your head at. And my first major league strikeout was Trey Turner, one of the best players in the league. And how about Trey Turner just turned his season around? I don't know if you guys saw it, but he's really struggling. And I don't know, about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, he got a standing ovation walking up to the plate for no reason at all. And it was the Phillies fans saying, like, we're behind you. And ever since then, he's been absolutely raking for this team. So lots to talk about at 808 KNBR tonight. Give me a call. You want to vent again? We can vent again. We did that last night. Like I always say on the show, it's our show. And if you're upset and you have a take that's frustrating and you're frustrated with this team, hey, it's an open forum, man. This show's for you guys. So to break the game down, Kyle Schwarber was 2 for 3 with a home run career off Camilo Doval. Trey Turner was 0 for 7 career with a strikeout off Camilo Doval. That's why that happened. I don't know if I agreed with it at the time. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a manager. I'm just a radio show host at night. So who am I to say? But I do know Trey Turner better than Kyle Schwarber, and he lives for those at-bats. Like I was around the kid his first 6 years of his career. I saw him hit every day. He loves those at-bats. He locks in. There's something about his heartbeat is slower than everybody's in those. And when that happened, I'm like, okay, you're not playing for the double play. He's only hit 7 double plays in 500 plate appearances this year. And he's a guy that just doesn't really hit into double plays. He's hit into 16 over the last 2 years. So what, about 8 double plays a year? That's not a lot. He is the fastest guy in baseball, or top 2 or 3. So if you're going to turn that double play, it's got to be a one-hopper right at Tyro, a one-hopper right at the shortstop, right at Casey Schmidt. I mean, or Camargo, I think, was in there at the end. So it's got to be a one-hopper right at him. And in those situations, you play either or. You bring your infield in, and if it's a slow roller, you come home. If it's not hit hard enough for a double play, you come home. If it's hit hard enough, you turn it. It's kind of a either-or thing. That's what we used to call it. It always confused me because I'm like, either tell me to turn a double play or tell me to go home. I used to hate to think about, like, okay, the speed of the ball, and should I turn this or should I go home? That's a lot to think about. It's also like the first and third play when you're covering second and you have to read it. Either tell me to put the tag on the guy or tell me to come up from the bag and throw home for the first and third defense. I used to hate to, well, just read it. How can I see where the runner is? How can I see where the guy at third is? You can't hear people screaming in the big leagues like, there he goes. You can't hear that. So I used to have to like watch the runner at third as the ball's coming at my face 90 miles an hour and make a decision. Do I step up and throw home or do I stay back and tag him? So those two plays always confuse me. So, I mean, if you're wondering why Gabe did that, it just seems like whatever he does right now, I mean, I wouldn't go gambling with him. Let's put it that way. If he said, hey, FP, let's go to Vegas this weekend, I'd be like, you're on your own because every move he's making is not working. Schwarber's hitting 185, 184. Turner's hitting 251. He went with the right-on-right matchup. That's what he does. You know, they had opportunity to score some more runs in the game. Wade Meckler got a base hit, and then he got picked off. it's just like, wow, this kid, I've never seen a more heart-wrenching bad start to a major league career in my life, I don't think. It just seems like he can do no right. And then you could even see him on defense, on routine plays. He's just like all over. And then he makes the play, but you can just see he's moving fast. The game is moving fast. He gets me anxious. He seems like a very anxious player. And sometimes as a major leaguer, you can use that fire and you can use that anxiety to work for you. But right now it seems like it's working against him a little bit. And I think maybe the big story of the day was the moves. Elliot Ramos going back to AAA, and he's been banging the baseball. So Meckler stays, Ramos goes. Giants lose a heartbreaker tonight, 4-3. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you things are going to get better because I don't know. I don't know. I'm like you guys right now. I don't know what's going on. They're 65-61. They're tied for the third wild card spot right now. So not the second anymore. They're tied with the Diamondbacks for the third spot, 65-61. The Reds are 64-61, a half game back. The Marlins are 64-62. So it's going to come down to September. I don't know. The positive was the lefty was good tonight. The thing that I don't think was mentioned enough was Pat Bailey sticking the landings on all those inside fastballs. A lot of times a catcher with a guy throwing 97, your glove can move with the pitch, the angle of the pitch from the left-handed release point to inside on a righty. So it's got that diagonal move to it, and Patrick Bailey was just sticking the landing on light and just holding it there. He is so good behind the plate. Literally, if you're frustrated with the Giants right now and you're frustrated with the way that things are going, just lock in on the catcher all night and watch him frame. It takes your mind off a lot of things. You're just like, this kid is so freaking good. So good. He was getting them calls all night. They've worked together at every level. It was like two kids playing catch. I was really, really impressed with the left-hander stuff tonight. His off-speed is not major league yet. His fastball is major league, easily. The slider was inconsistent tonight. It rolled in there sometimes. It snapped in there at times. I don't know what he had going on with his finger. They showed that in the dugout. I don't know if he had a cut, a blister, a flip nail. I'm not sure. I would guess it was a flip nail if I had to guess, just because he was holding his hand out to dry, and usually you put some kind of like crazy glue on that to fix it in the heat of battle. And then you leave the crazy glue on it. So we'll see what happened with him. But I thought all in all, that was a sweet debut for him. Striking out the side in his first inning, even though he gave up the home run to Bryce Harper. So 808 KNBR, where are you with? I need some energy tonight. I went for a run today, just so you guys know, and I got done with my run, and this has never happened to me, and I went down. Like the whole world started spinning. I went to a knee, was leaning against the wall, and some guy asked me if he should call 911. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, spinning. And I've never had that happen. So I've talked to some doctors, and they think I was dehydrated, but I've been on the IL all afternoon on the couch, just sitting there, and the world is still spinning for me. And especially after that 4-3 walk-off loss, I'm starting to spin again. So you guys got to pick me up tonight. I'm playing hurt. I'm playing dinged up. Let's go to Don in San Francisco. Don, with his nightly anxiety call. Don, do not give me more anxiety than I already have tonight.
Oh man, you're really falling apart. I'm falling apart.
I am falling apart, Don.
At the end, man.
What's that?
How can this happen at the end when you had the game in your darn hands? You know.
Well, here's the thing, Don. People are going to say Camilo should have caught that. That was 104 miles an hour. Camilo should have located that pitch. It was right down the middle. It was literally center cut fastball with 2 strikes right down the middle. Maybe you try to expand there with a slider. Trey Turner does not love sliders down the way. He'll chase them all day long.
Oh my!
And he threw a fastball right down the middle. So I saw on Twitter, I was like, you got to catch that. That was 104 miles an hour. And if he lets it go, maybe it's a double play, but your instinct as a pitcher is to catch it.
Yeah, you have to do something. I mean, like, whatever it takes, you got to do something, whatever it takes, you know.
All right, Don, how are you doing? That's all I care about.
How am I doing?
Yeah.
I am not. I feel like we're falling apart right now, you know. I hope we're wrong. I hope it doesn't.
Well, it would appear that way. I cannot tell you we're not. I'm not going to sit here and go, everything's going to be okay, because I don't know that. You don't know that. I don't even know if they know that.
Yeah, so I just hope it doesn't. But it will. They still have life, but they can do something changing, you know.
All right, Don, I got to bounce around tonight. We got full phone lines, and I feel like we will for 3 hours tonight. So everyone's going to pick me up tonight. I'm going to try to do my best. And Don, we're not falling apart. We're going to be okay. You and I aren't. I do. and I'll stop right there, okay?
Okay, take care, and
All right, Don. Thanks for calling. Let's go to Lauren in San Diego. Lauren, you're on the Sports Leader. What's going on?
Hello, this was my first time calling, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh, Lauren, thank you. Pour her a beer. Lauren, the tradition on the KNBR Tonight show that I had when I was here a long time ago is we pour you a beer. This will loosen you up a little bit. So here's your KNBR virtual radio beer.
Love that.
Yeah.
I got one in my hand also. So I love the Giants. They're I mean, I listen to them every night on the radio, like broadcast on iHeartRadio. And I'm just bummed about this season. I think a lot of it has to do with Gabe Kapler. And there was a guy that called last night. He said everything that I think. He took it all out of my brain and said it all. It was awesome. But I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Gabe Kapler, and I just want to see some wins.
Lauren, can I ask you? And you're doing a great job for your first call. Way to go. And I think the caller's name was Johnny last night. It's one of the best calls I've ever had on the show. And he was upset with the organization, just to recap if you weren't listening last night. And he was upset with the direction everything was going. It was so well articulated. It wasn't like a wild, crazy fan saying fire everybody. This was a season ticket holder for years that has turned in his season tickets. And I think those are the fans that the Giants would love to hear that take. And it was a really well thought out phone call, and that's what Lauren's talking about. So, Lauren, you're doing great. Can I ask you why you don't like Gabe Kapler?
I don't know. I just feel like I don't like the constant changes. I feel like he should be letting the guys play the game. That's what they are there to do. They don't want to take a break every other day. They just want to play. And I love Bochy's, philosophy, how he just lets them play the game. And I feel like that's a winning philosophy, whereas Gabe Kapler is change, day off. Oh, it's just too much. Just let the guys do what they love. Let the guys play the game.
Yeah, but there's so much information now, and I think that's kind of his style, right? That's his style, and we're used to seeing Bruce Bochy do it from the hip, and I think him coming to town really kind of fan the flames, I guess, for everybody's disagreement with what Gabe is doing. But that's his style, man. And I saw him do it for years in Philadelphia when I was back east. I watched him manage games back there, and he's done it the same way here. So sometimes you let the stats manage you instead of just managing. I think he knows baseball well enough. I've sat in the office with him. We've had one-on-ones. We have broadcasters meetings before the series, and he really knows what he's doing. He's as prepared as any manager I've ever been around. I've sat in a lot of managers' office as a player and a broadcaster. So it's not like he's underprepared and he just has this sheet that he looks at and makes moves every night. There's reasons to his moves, and I know what you're saying. You just want, hey, go play. And everybody just go play and not worry about look over your shoulder if you're going to get pinch hit for or if I'm going to take you out of the game.
Right. I know there's a method to his madness. I guess I'm just not a fan of it, and I just miss Bochy, I guess.
No, Lauren, you're saying, well, I'm going to say you might be the first girl that doesn't like Gabe Kapler ever.
No, I like the way he looks to me wrong, but I don't know.
Everybody I know, man. People I don't know. Everybody I know. I've posted pictures of at the ballpark where he's there, and I'm filming his interview session, and people sliding in my DMs. Can I meet Gabe? And I have so many girls that want to meet Gabe. So, and when they announce him at the ballpark, Lauren, they'll say manager of the Giants. Renell will say Gabe Kapler, and it's just a bunch of screams like Justin Bieber's getting announced. So yeah. I get that. But okay, I hear your point, and I have a lot of friends that have the same view as you do.
Well, it's good to know that I'm not alone, All
right, Lauren. Well, thanks for calling. That was a really good first call. But guess what? Call back. You don't get a beer next time.
Awesome. All right.
All right, Lauren. Thank you. That was Lauren from San Diego, first-time caller. We've had tons of first-time callers lately. I absolutely love that. Don't be afraid to call. It's easy. Just talk like we're on the phone. It's our show. That's what this show's based on. It used to be Sports Phone 680. Now it's KNBR Tonight. Name doesn't matter, but it's always a caller-driven show, at least when I'm driving it. Let's go to Gary in San Ramon. Gary, you're on KNBR. Why did I say it like that? KNBR. You're on KNBR. What's going on, Gary?
Hey, if you just want to give you a little props for, I know it's difficult to follow John Miller. He's a Hall of Famer. But I think you're doing a really good job on the broadcast when you're called upon. And like Sunday, I really enjoyed your byplay, especially when they were tamping down the mound there in Atlanta. that was a great bit, So I thought you're doing really well on that. So.
Thanks, Gary. I just got a bunch more games today, so I really appreciate it. I'm doing some with John, and I'm really excited about that. So thank you so much. It's starting to slow down a little bit, and I'm super thankful for the opportunity. The Giants are amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a tough job, man. We've got some of the best broadcasters, in the world.
They're all Hall of Famers to me. I mean, Dwayne and Mike will be, John is, and Dave will be first ballot whenever that comes up. So they're all Hall of Famers.
They're amazing. Enjoying the broadcast, and when the season's over, I really miss it just because of the broadcasters. But anyway, the point I want to make, I've watched the churn, that Farhan does, and he did it with the A's. It's the same old program, and so that's the way they do it. But I need you to explain to me the situation with Meckler. He's obviously overmatched. He's kicking the ball in the outfield. He gets picked off when he gets a hit today. And like you said earlier, they just sent Ramos down, who's provided a little pop. But why is Meckler the golden boy right now, FP?
I think, Gary, and this is just pure speculation, I think however the Giants evaluate players might not be just with the eye test like we used to do back in the day, like this kid can really play. I think it goes way deeper than that. It's about strike zone domination, swinging at strikes, taking balls. It's about working counts and seeing pitches. It's about bat-to-ball skills and putting it into play. And then he comes up and has the most horrific first week a big leaguer can possibly have with running after inside the park home runs, misplaying balls and getting too close to the wall. I think one thing you need to learn as an outfielder at the major league level is, hey, I can catch this or I can't catch this. And if I can't, you got to back up and play it off the wall. And if I can, I'm going to go into the wall and catch it. And I don't think he has that yet. There's other things that he doesn't have defensively. He's trying too hard offensively. I've been in these situations, not in my first week in the big league. I was hitting like 450 after a couple of weeks in the big leagues because I had some confidence. I got some hits early, but he's really trying hard. Even on routine plays, it looks like the game is moving really fast. I can probably see a lot of things that a lot of people can't with body language, and he seems overwhelmed right now. It doesn't mean he's going to be a bad player. It doesn't mean he's going to be a usable player. I don't know if he's an everyday big leaguer right now, and it seems like they've rushed him to the big leagues based on maybe looking at his stats, like just what he does at the plate, stuff that I don't know about. I don't have these formulas. And I think they like the fact that he commands the strike zone. He has good bat-to-ball skills. But right now, he's not a big league center fielder. I'll say it. He isn't. And maybe he will develop into that. But, man, this is a tough place to learn, man. And the kid is, like, it's my story. I was always the smallest kid. I always had to prove people wrong. I was always the underdog. And I always had to get stronger and all of this stuff. So his story really resonates with me, and I'm rooting for him. But right now, it hasn't gone his way yet. And I thought hey, he got a base hit. There's nothing better, Gary, than getting a base knock your first time up because it relaxes the sphincter, man. When you're all tight, it just relaxes you, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I got a knock, and then zip, picked off, and you're just like, oh, I'm right back to where I was yesterday. I mean, and then you might as well be 0 for 1 with a strikeout at that point. There's nothing worse in the big leagues. There's two things that are the worst things in the big leagues. Making an error in front of 40,000 people, but I think getting picked off and having to run back to the dugout is like, you talk about the walk of shame going home in your clothes from the night before. The walk of shame is getting picked off, man. I've been there, done it, man. It's just like, please get me back to the dugout. Please get me back. I'm going to put my head down and pretend I'm not here. I'm going to pretend there's no cameras. I'm going to pretend there's no fans. Just get me back to the dugout. Let me go in the tunnel and break something.
Yeah, one other point, FP, and I appreciate your response on that. I don't try to claim that I know everything, but I have watched.
I don't either, Gary. I just, I've played it and been there and done it and lived it. I don't know everything either. And if I ever come across like that, you guys got to keep me in check. There's nothing worse than turning on the radio and hearing people that think they know everything.
No, you're very self-deprecating, FP, so I appreciate that, even though you have played the game and many of us haven't. But it looks like, just from the moves that Farhan hasn't made or whatever, that they're emphasizing, and a friend of mine gave me this, a big-time Giants fan, they're emphasizing developing players over actually winning. I find that a little hard to believe, but I kind of like you to respond to that.
I like developing the younger players. It's just like I'm getting back to my initial point, Gary. That's a really hard place to learn how to play, because especially this time of year, because the game's moving at its fastest. Everybody's crispy. The hitters are locked in. They've seen, I don't know, they've had 500 at bats. Pitchers, they say dog days of August. I always thought August was a month where the game was going 100 miles an hour every single night, and we've all learned to slow it down. And it looks easy, and then you come into this game. It's a tough place to jump in the fast lane, and that's what this is. So. I said this last night, and I went on this long rant about it's a tough place not to play every day if you're a young player. If you're 22, 23, 24, and you're not getting reps every day, in the minor leagues, you play every day. And then you get up to the big leagues, and you play once a series or maybe once every 4 or 5 days. It's tough for a young person to stay locked in, stay confident, and find a routine. Like, I've never done this before, and I play in once every 4 days, and how do I stay ready? And veterans will tell you. But you have to experience it yourself. And velocity will pick up while you're on the bench, meaning you'll get in the box after 4 days, and 94 looks like 99. When you're playing every day, 99 looks like 94. But when you're not playing every day, 94 looks like 99. And so the game goes fast. The way you slow anything down, whether you have a new job, whether you're an NFL quarterback that hasn't had a lot of reps like Trey Lance, whether you're a kid coming up from AAA, is reps. You just got to get reps, and everything slows down. Think of it. If you're out there, think of your first day at a new job and everything was going fast, and you're like, oh my God. And within like a month or so, you're like, this is easy. I got this, because you get a routine. You start to know people, or you relax a little bit. Things slow down. Mentally, it's not going as fast for you, and then physically, it doesn't go as fast for you.
Well, that's great. AFP, just stay hydrated, my friend. Yeah,
I feel like I've never passed out in my life, and I almost did today. I really did. I almost hit the turf.
Thanks, FP. Appreciate it. I
was about to call 911 because I'm Italian and I'm dramatic. But it was spinning, man. Like, things were spinning. Like, spinning. And I was like, whoa. I mean, if I have lack of self-discipline on a Friday or Saturday night and things are spinning, that's one thing. But if you I went for like a little 5-mile run today. It's not that hot. It was 70. I don't know. I've been traveling a lot. Maybe it's all the airplanes and stuff. Who's been waiting the longest? Let's go to full phone lines. Keep trying. I mean, one drops, another one comes in. We're talking all night, and you guys are picking me up. If you missed it and you're just tuning in, just get in your car. What'd you say, Jake? We got a break? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to David Napchos. David, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, I had another comment, but you mentioned Meckler getting a hit and then getting picked off, and I was like thinking, God, if I got a hit and I was on, I'd be like holding onto that bag like Frodo Baggins holding onto the ring in Lord of the Rings. You know, you'd be like, I made it. I wouldn't want to get picked off, but I don't know. It's hard, the nervousness. Like, I think that actually the Giants seem like they're in a position. I'm surprised because, like, early in the season, you're thinking, oh, they're not going anywhere. And then they're still there. You could almost say that maybe Kapler is overachieving with this team. I mean, maybe they're a 500 team and they're 4 games over right now. So they're overachieving a tad, maybe. What do you think of that? Like, I think that it's hard to be 500 in baseball. A 500 team trying to play 500 in this division against these teams. You just got beat by a World Series team from last year. I think that I'm trying to tilt a silver lining here, but
David,
I think that
I got a shirt on that says Positive Vibes right now, and I got a bunch of them. It's one of my favorite companies, and I buy shirts on their website all the time. I love it. I think they're underachieving right now. I think this team's way better than they're playing.
Okay.
When I saw them win 10 games in a row, you heard me on this show. It's okay to believe in this team. I think they're really missing Yaz big time. But I can't go to the injury card for excuses. You can't. Like, that's everybody. Everybody has injuries. Everybody has injuries.
My point, though, maybe is that it's because all these other teams have these stacked teams where, like, they're talking about, like, we just played the Braves and we got to play them again. And every player you're pitching to is a stressed player like Barry Bonds, you know, and that makes it tough, doesn't it? I mean, you're like, what do you do?
It's the big leagues, man. It's the big leagues. If you have injuries and you're not playing well, nobody feels sorry for you. They're glad you have injuries and they're glad you're not playing well.
too, because it got me to 49ers season. The Giants were just interesting enough to get me to 49ers, and maybe they get in the playoff game. And if they do and they get bounced out, so what? I mean, it's fun. It's fun that they're making it exciting.
David, I love your attitude, man. It's usually mine, but right now I feel like this team can play a lot better. I do.
And you're announcing. You're a great announcer, dude. I love your humor. The humor slide. I love the stuff that your little comments like can of corn. He's out. Okay, whatever. Get rid of him.
I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot, David. I do enjoy it, man, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity. David,
stick with the humor.
Thanks, buddy. Give us a call any night. Sorry, I just got distracted. A squirrel ran by and I'm ADD. David, thanks for the call. Let's go to, should I take a break, Jake? Let's take a break real quick. 808 KNBR. We got full phone lines. Keep trying if it's busy. I want to talk to you guys all night. Giants lose a tough one, 4-3. They're snake bit right now. Whatever the manager does doesn't work. I don't know. Is that a Gigante shirt he's wearing? We got to figure. Maybe that's not working, Gabe. I think we got to just maybe wear our jersey tomorrow or something. Just mix it up. We'll go opposite day tomorrow. Day game, sleep fast, get a getaway day win, come home, sleep in your own bed. But what is it? 126 games? It kind of is what it is at this point. It kind of is what it is at this point. If you're on hold, stay right there. Quick commercial break. We'll take your calls. Giants lose 4-3. I'm FP Santangelo. You're listening to KNBR tonight on the Sports Leader.
with Camilo. Good slider, good sinker, chance for a double play. We're going to play our infield a little bit shallower and have a chance to record an out at the plate with a force or record a double play in the middle. And obviously, it didn't work out. Trey Turner put a good at bat on us, and we lost the game.
We could do a Queen night, by the way. I love Queen. Freddie Mercury, one of my favorites. I think I introduced Spencer Strider, the Braves pitcher, this weekend with a sweet Freddie Mercury stash. I said it on the air. 808 KNBR. If it's busy, keep calling. We got full phone lines, lots of text messages on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. You guys are bringing your A game. Last night was amazing, and so far so good tonight. Giants, though, lose 4-3 to the Phillies. Phillies go to 69-57. They're 12 games over. The Giants are just 4 games over 500. Gabe Kapler there coming back saying that he walked Kyle Schwarber, who was 2 for 3 with a home run off Camilo Duvall, to get to Trey Turner, who was 0 for 7 with a strikeout for a double play. That's one of the fastest dudes in baseball. So if that was the thinking, that's okay. He's only hitting the 7 double plays this year and over 500 plate appearances. That's a really tough guy to double up. And like I said, starting the show, it had to be a one-hopper right at Camargo, right at Tyro. You're not going to turn a 5-4-3 double play on Trey Turner or a 3-6-3. It would have to have been a hard hit ball right up the middle or a one-hopper back to Camilo. And then for those of you who thought that Duvall should have caught the line drive, it was 104 miles an hour. And it's just the way things are going right now. Whatever Gabe does isn't working right now, and they're finding ways to lose games. If he lets that go, maybe Tyro's standing right there, and it is a double play. Maybe it's a line drive double. I don't know. We'll never know. It's rough. It's rough sledding right now, as they say. And I feel for Giants fans because I am one. I feel for myself then right now. Not literally. I just feel for my well-being. I almost died today. Let's go to John in San Jose. John, you're on the Sports Leader. What's going on? John,
what's up, Mr. Santana?
Hey, how are you doing, John? Is John there? Sounds like he was breaking up. John, try again. Or stay right there. Jacob will see if you're there. I'm not. We're not going to hang up on you. Let's go to Jacob. Let's go to Bruno in Chico. Bruno, you're on KNBR. What's going on? Is Bruno there? All right, Bruno, you're on KNBR. What's going on, Bruno?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Jacob's running around. He's got lots of calls to get to. So thanks for being patient. What's going on, Bruno?
Don't worry about it. Well, of course, this is a tough one. I don't think I'm necessarily upset with how they played. I'm not going to lie. I think they played pretty, they played well. It was absolutely a game for them to win. That's just one of those things where it's like that could happen to anyone. And it sucks, but it was painful. But, I think looking at the positive things, Harrison, you could tell he still has some polish, and obviously he's so young. I'm 25, dude's younger than me. It makes me feel older. And he looks like once he gets things going, I would love to see how the heck he could play out because that arm looks pretty damn nice.
Yeah, that fastball was bueno tonight, huh? 97 on the inner half, and Patrick Bailey was framing it up beautifully, and I was excited. That's the most excited I've been to see a debut in a long time. Maybe since Mad Bum. I was here the last time when Mad Bum made his debut. I got a heads up from Larry Bear's son that they were going to call up Madison Bumgarner, and I came on my show at night and I said, don't be surprised if you see Madison Bumgarner on Saturday. I already knew he was getting called up, so I wanted to sound smart back in the day because I just started in the business and I got the inside scoop that he's getting called up. But yeah, that's the most excited I've been. Well, I was excited when Lincecum came up too. Those two guys. I knew Matt Cain. I coached him in the minor leagues. Well, I didn't coach him. He was a pitcher, but he was on the San Jose Giants when I was there. So rooting for him. So that I guess those three guys come to mind tonight. How young and great they were when they got called up. But left-hander, he was Harrison's the youngest left-hander to start for the Giants since Mad Bum. So there was little flashbacks tonight. And that fastball, I think there was something going on with his finger because his command is so great in AAA. In the first inning, he was darting his spots. His misses were like minuscule. They were calls that could have gone either way. And then he started launching fastballs up and away. I just don't think he had a good feel for the baseball after a while. And I think that might be a big reason why they got him out of there. I know he was supposed to be around 60, 65 pitches, but I don't know how that finger was faring, and maybe we'll hear about it after the game.
Yeah, well, hopefully that gets all good. And, I heard them saying on the broadcast or in the post game as well that it could be possible. Maybe we see him on, if they keep with the normal rotation, that he would show up on Sunday, or whatever it is. I'll be excited to see him. But I did want to ask you one thing too. I know you had a career for sure, so I'm just curious, is there any exceptional rough losses like this one that really stand out to you that you still remember to this day?
No, I mean, just the one in the ALDS in the playoffs when I made one error all year, and I made an error in that game. And I let a ball go between my legs at second. It was a double play ball against the Yankees in the playoffs. And I had to stand in my locker for about an hour for the New York media and the Bay Area media and say it's a play I've made a million times and I should have made it, and I feel bad. That one's, I don't know if I'll ever get over that one. That was like a nightmare. And the weird thing about that, Bruno, and this is full disclosure, you guys know I don't hold back. I was worried about that the night before. Art came up to me, Art Howard said, "You're starting at second tomorrow." And it was a night game, and it was the Giambi no slide game. And then we had a day game the next day, and I was starting at second base. And I never liked day games because there was no batting practice, there was no infield. You just kind of like, especially in October, you just showed up and played. And I was a guy of routine. I needed my batting practice. I needed to get the nerves out. I like to get my ground balls, to get my confidence. And it was a show and go day after a long night game. And I was laying in bed going like, thinking negatively, like, don't make an error, don't make an error, don't make an error. And here's something that I found out. And I actually knew at the time, your brain doesn't process negative commands. So if you say don't make an error, what your brain takes in is the make an error part. Your brain doesn't hear the don't. So if you're ever like coaching kids, tell them like, hey, go out there and make a great play. They'll hear make a great play. They'll hear throw a strike. But if you say don't pop up, a kid will pop up because he doesn't hear the negative command. I learned this in the mental game of baseball with Carl Keel and Harvey Dorfman. And so I was thinking the night before that, like, don't make an error. And guess what? I made an error. I was thinking the wrong way. So that's just a little tip for maybe anything in life is if you say don't do this, it's all your brain hears is the do this part. It doesn't hear the don't.
Oh, wow, man. Well, hey, that was a great little story you had there. Awesome to hear from you. And, loving the show as always. And have a great rest of your night, man.
All right, Bruno. Thanks, dude. Thanks for the call. All right, we're top of the hour. Got to take a quick break. Everybody on hold, stay right there. I'm getting all your calls. 808 KNBR is the number. Giants lose 4-3, a heartbreaker to the Phillies. We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the Giants next on the Sports Leader.
what? A balk has been called to put the Rangers ahead. Oh, my goodness. Doug Eddings called it. It's 2-1 Texas.
Matt Olson, the league leader in home runs and RBIs. There goes Acuna, the first pitch, a strike. Bailey's throw, and he throws it down the left field line. Acuna gets up, he will score, and the game is tied at 3.
3-2 Giants. Bases loaded, 1 out. 2-2 pitch. Swing line drive off of Doval's glove, and it ricochets away from Estrada. The tying run scores. The winning run scores.
So Camilo has blown the last 3 save opportunities, 3 in a row. And I don't know if you guys remember, like I was kind of spitballing about a month ago saying, boy, we're sure using him a lot. I hope that doesn't come back to bite us late in the season. And well, here we are with what? We played 126 games. So do the math. How many left? We're down the stretch, and here he is. He has 54 games. He's 5-3 with a 2.29. And I don't know if you can blame it on the usage. It's just like, I just think they're snake bit right now. I just think, like, I've said this a million times on the show, like when you have the dynamic and the energy going this way, it's so hard to turn that around. Early in the season, okay, hey, what do we got? We got 150 games left or 140 games left. We'll be okay. But when you start getting down the stretch, it kind of is what it is. It's really hard to flip the script. It's not impossible. It's just really hard when things are going this way to whip a freaking U-turn and have them go the other way. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be one bloop single or one Patrick Bailey walk-off home run. It's just you're going to have to play. The thing that's beautiful about baseball is like if you play good baseball over 6 months and you're consistently playing good baseball every night, you're going to be about 20 games over 500 if you just play good ball every night. It's about the process. I say this all the time. It's not about going out and trying to win a baseball game. It's not like, I mean, maybe sarcastically you'll say, hey, let's win one tonight. But it's about playing well every night. So we didn't just sit there and go, come on, let's win tonight. It was just like, let's play a good baseball game. And when you play every day for 6 months, if you do that more times than not, you're going to win a lot more games than you lose. And right now, it's just not going the Giants' way for whatever reason. I don't think they played a bad game tonight. I don't think they did anything wrong other than maybe hitting the leadoff guy. You don't want to do that up by 1 in the 9th. You don't want to throw a fastball down the middle to Trey Turner. I think it's a legitimate debate if you want to have that and you're not second guessing and you first guessed, should you walk Kyle Schwarber to get to Trey Turner? I don't see a double play in Trey Turner. I'll agree to disagree with the manager on that one. But I do see the right-on-right matchup thing versus Schwarber. I think Schwarber's got holes in his swings. I mean, he's got a bazillion strikeouts. He's hitting 185. But then if you pitch to him and Schwarber goes deep, that's not how you do it. So then you're deviating from your formula. There's no real. I've been back here for 2 years now, almost 2 seasons, and I think I can count on one hand the times that Gabe has kind of deviated from the formula and gone with his gut. And I want to say that 2 or 3 of them involved Logan Webb and whether to leave him in or not. I could be wrong, but he's very, very set in his ways, and this is how he's going to do it, and this is his philosophy, and this is how he manages. It won 107 games in 2021. Everything he did worked. Right now, he's snake bit. That's why I think he needs to ditch the T-shirt and go with the jersey. I don't know why there could be a really deep reason besides the guns, Jacob. There could be a really deep, like, sentimental reason he's wearing it for somebody. I don't know. But even if he is, like, that, okay, that was cool, but now we got to change it up. And maybe just go opposite day tomorrow. If you're thinking about pinch hitting, don't. If you're thinking about getting the guy, don't. If you're thinking about wearing your T-shirt, don't. And then maybe the whole team does something different. Just go opposite day, just to mix it up. Let's go to Manny in the city. Manny, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey, so I'm listening to your conversation. A few things, I'm with you 100%. So I'm sitting back here at Rasa Park in the city, watching the kids skate. So I paid attention to the game today, and I also think this was a good loss. I mean, and as wild as it sounds, it was a good loss. I don't think the Giants went out of their way. I don't think they did anything wrong. I just think it was the luck of the draw how it ended.
Manny, there's no such thing as a good loss, dude. I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with you, bro. I never walked out of a clubhouse in my life and say, "Hey, what's going on, honey? How are the kids? That was a good loss tonight. Let's drive home slowly and stop at all the red lights."
I mean it. I mean it it's kind of hard to say, but in a sensible way. I mean, look at what the Phillies did today. I mean, they're all those drop balls and missed plays and drop. I mean, that was all going in the Giants' direction.
Let me stop you real quick, Manny, and I understand what you're saying, and I'm not gonna disagree with you because I love everybody's opinions on this show and I cherish them. The one thing I would say is the game has gotten away from moving a runner in a leadoff double. And I get that. Like, if it's the first through the fifth inning and, there's a runner on second, nobody out, just drive them in. And that's the way the game that's the way the game has evolved. But up by one in the seventh, eighth, or ninth inning on the road, I got to get that guy over, man. I have to, because up by two is so much bigger than up by one. It takes the bunt away. It takes the leadoff guy getting on away, and everybody freaks out. It takes a lot of things away from the game. So ideally, I would have loved for JD right there to drive the ball to the right side, like think right side all the way, and that's what he does the best. And that didn't happen right there, and that's a sneaky big play in this game.
And you're absolutely right. And I see that a lot, where that one run or that play, they can't get the runner over. I know that they talk about how many runners we've left on. I know in some of these one-run games we're not moving the ball, and I think that kind of goes on a mindset. I was thinking this whole time, where like when I was a kid, I played ball and I loved the game. I sit here and analyze the game, call pitches. People are like, "You how'd you call that?" That's what I do. I sit back here. And I think some of these guys that are playing get caught up in the analytics, and I think that's what some of the fans, where the lady, the caller called earlier, was talking about. And I think that's what she meant, even though she didn't say it. But the analytic part to the game is it's a one-on-one and not a group thing. And Kepler, that's his thing, and I get it. And I think sometimes the guys get caught up in that, where they're not ready. They don't take it the way that the game is played. Like for me, I sit back and say Joe Morgan's jumping in his grave because these guys are sitting there waiting for this pitch. It may be just on the outside. Joe Morgan, those guys had 2,000 strikeouts with their 6,000 hits, because the crunch time is go, and you got to take that chance to pull the ball, get that runner over, anything can happen. And I think that with this analytic portion, we can't just sit back. The Giants can't just sit back and wait for a pitch to hit. These guys and the young guys, they're coming in, and I think they're coming into the hot seat. The hot seat is that, and I may be wrong, but you come out of the system, and you get told you're going to come and play somebody who's been playing in the league for more than 3 years, throwing you a fastball that you haven't seen in the minor league. That's a learning thing on the move. So I think all that plays into this non-movement of runners, non-movement of how instincts play. And some of these guys are playing out of position. And I believe that's how Kepler plays.
Yeah, he believes in versatility and productivity at the same time. Manny, I got so many calls to get to tonight, dude. Thanks for the call. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and God bless. And go ahead and drink some water and some of the mineral water that'll get you back up.
Thanks, Manny. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm super dizzy right now, to be honest. I'm playing on the IL tonight. I'm playing dinged up. If you missed it, I went on a run today. I went down. I haven't gone down. I went to a knee. I was leaning against the wall right outside my building, and some guy said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." I said, "I just need some more fentanyl." I looked like one of those dudes. I was like all crooked and like kind of like leaning against the wall. Then I went down to a knee and everything was spinning. So I don't know. And I'm still spinning. It's not the worst feeling in the world, to be honest. It feels like I took a gummy. Let's go to Mike in Eugene. He knows all about gummies. Mike, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP, you should have called me. I could have told you what to do.
Dude,
for crying out loud.
I'm still feeling it, man. I'm pounding water. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Electrolytes.
All right,
That's
thank you.
I
I drink water, man. I don't know. Maybe I've had a cardiac episode. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Hey, I'm telling you, I just went through this. I was told, yeah, you're drinking the water, but do the electrolytes on top of it, man. And that's what helped me on top of it. So, but I still crash and burn. So.
What did you think of the game tonight, Mike? What do you think? What are you thinking right now?
What do you think I'm thinking? I'm fed up. I really am. It's been a long season. We're having the same conversation we did the first 40. And remember, we said, hey, our team is we got what we got at 40 or 45 games. And guess what? We got what we have now with only, 40 games left. We're got the same hot mess that we have what we had in the beginning, whether it's because of injuries, veterans not stepping up like they were supposed to, whether it's because of the experiments, whether it's because Gabe is doing the analytics and it's not working today, whatever. We got the same hot mess that we've had all year. It hasn't changed. We've been excited, we've been depressed, but we got the same hot mess. It's not firm direction. We don't have a firm leader in the clubhouse. We did in theory, but we really don't. There's no cohesiveness right now. I just feel that, these guys are struggling. You got that guy Meckler. Other guys that weren't producing, they'd be sent down. I don't understand why he's still there. I don't get it. I'm trying to understand it, but it's like, man, you walk into a wall so many times, you got to move the wall or move the person out of the room.
I think the thinking is, Mike, if they send him down, they might lose him forever, and that's the only thing I can come up with because, when you're a Brock Purdy and you get your day in the sun, you got to shine. And when you're a guy that's kind of beat the odds all the way up because of your size and you're proving everybody wrong, you get your day in the sun, you got to shine. And he just looks jittery to me. He looks a little overwhelmed to me. And quite frankly, he doesn't look like a big leaguer yet. That doesn't mean he won't be a big leaguer. Things won't slow down for him. It's just like when you're a first-round pick like Joey Bart, you get lots of chances. You get a longer leash. When you're not, even if you've hit 380 everywhere, that's still it's a different game up here. The strike zone's bigger all of a sudden. The strike zone's really small in the minor leagues, so you can go up there and auto take is what I've been told, which means I'm just going to take right now and get into a 2-0 count regularly because it's a small strike zone. And then the guys get up here and they're saying, wow, the strike zone's a lot bigger in the big leagues. So, maybe it's just a different game. And also, Mike, and this, I don't want to sound old, but if you can play now, you're in the big leagues. If you can play a little bit, you're in the big leagues. And before, it used to be like you got log jammed to the minor leagues. AAA was such a tough league. Everybody could play down there because everybody was good in the big leagues. And it was hard to make that last jump from AAA to the big leagues. And the brand of baseball in the minor leagues back in the day, you had to really prove you were better than the level you were at. You had to show you were better. You were ready defensively, offensively, maturation, a teammate, base running, everything. You had to have a complete game to get called up. You didn't learn at the big league level back in the day. You learned at the minor league level, and you learned how to play a winning brand of baseball so that when you got to the big leagues, it was seamless. Now, just the way the minor leagues are without as many teams, without as many players, if you can play a little bit, it's like bip, 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 you're in the big leagues. So what we're seeing now is still a great brand of baseball with a lot of talented young players, but they're also learning on TV. They're learning in front of 40,000 people. They're learning when every win at the highest level is worth, $1 million, $2 million to every team. So, like, this is big boy baseball. This is baseball Darwinism, survival of the fittest. When you get up here, you either get the job done or you don't. But right now, what we're seeing and why a lot of Giants fans are frustrated, and maybe we could do a radio show in any town right now, is you're seeing a lot of kids learning baseball, learning the major league brand of baseball at the highest level.
Well, what I don't understand, FP, is, and you've even said this before, when we were looking to have them bring some of the guys up, and they weren't going to bring them up, they're not ready, like Montos or whoever. They're not ready. We're afraid they're going to bring them up. We're going to hurt them. Then they bring them up, and now this kid's up here, and he's really not ready, but they're leaving him up here anyway, and he's getting his brains beat in. And is that helping him or is it hurting him? That's my question at this stage.
I think you give him. I think you give him another week or so. Like tonight, he got a base hit, and like I said earlier, that really loosens you up. There's nothing better as a hitter than getting a knock your first time up. Like literally nothing better. You can hit a home, or maybe getting hit your last time up when you're 0 for 3 and you have a 1 for 4 to show for. So those two things were always my favorite because you get a hit your first time up, you're like, whew, I got something to show for today. I got a knock. It usually helps you relax, and then that could lead to a 2 or a 3 hit day. And then zip, he gets picked off, and like you're right back to where you started. So a tough night for him. Mike, I got so many calls tonight, buddy. I got to bounce around a little bit.
All right, brother.
Thanks, dude.
All right.
Thanks for the call. I'm kind of being rude tonight, so just stick with me just because there's so many calls, and I want to get to everybody. And we have Evan Weebeck coming on, by the way, at 9 o'clock. He's going to join us live from Philadelphia, and he's there with the team. Great beat writer for the San Jose Mercury News. He does a great job covering the Giants. Let's take a break real quick. And then we'll go to the bottom of the hour. So if you're on hold, please stay right there. Tons of text messages to get to. The 415 chiming in on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line saying, FP, your ratings go through the roof when we play like crap. He didn't use that word, LOL. Silver lining. I don't think so. I'd rather have no phones in a win than full phone lines in a loss. But like I said, this is our show, and I'm here for you. If you want to vent. There's no bad calls. You want to get it out, and you feel better if you come on here and get it all out. That's what we're here for. So it's our show. Your calls coming up next on the Sports Leader.
Now he throws a high fastball, a swinging strike three. Well, of his first 6 hitters faced in his first big league game, he has struck out 4 of them, including Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, and Alec Boehm, and now here in the second, JT Realmuto.
It was a cool experience for sure, but nerves were there. But once I did the first pitch, it was same game.
Something about Queen that just makes me happy when I hear their songs. Like, I'll put Best of Queen on in the house. Like in the morning sometimes, it just like gets me going in the right direction. Positive vibes only. Just love all their music. Giants was a tough one, 4-3 tonight. Debut of Kyle Harrison. 3 1/3, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits. It was a home run to Bryce Harper. Struck out 5. You heard John Miller right there. Walked 1. It was fun, man. I enjoyed watching him go out there. I would have liked to see him go a little bit longer, but I don't think he's built up for that based on coming off the hamstring thing in AAA. It'd have been cool to see him go a little bit longer, but I think all in all, just a really good first start for the young kid from De La Salle High School. The local kid makes good. And that's one he can build on. It's not like he went out there and had a bad outing. Giants signed Paul DeYoung, by the way, today. The shortstop for the Cardinals. He went to Toronto and was 3 for 44 without an extra base hit in, I think, 18 games. 3 for 44. So for whatever reason, it didn't work out in Toronto. And the Blue Jays actually traded a prospect for him at the trade deadline and then released him. You trade a prospect and release a guy. I mean, that never happens, or rarely, I should say. I don't know. I haven't done the research on that. But what I will say is you get a veteran shortstop that's going to make the plays. I don't I don't expect him to be Cody Ross by any means, but, I mean, you got a viable option. I think he's better at shortstop than Camargo. I think, you have a veteran guy that was having a good season in St. Louis, so we'll see. He'll probably make his debut tomorrow for the Giants in the day game. So Paul DeJong signed by the Giants. I would like to see Luis Matos play more. Righties, lefties, I don't care. I would love to just see him get a chance. Like, hey, here you go, kid. Let's go. I mean, he ran into that ball the other day in Atlanta. He hit a bomb. I mean, he's hit right-handers his whole life. You don't get to the big leagues by just platooning against lefties. Like, he knows how to hit right-handers. Like, let's let him go for a little bit. He seemed overwhelmed the first go-around. Whatever adjustments he made in his swing, I don't know. I'd like to see it happen. I don't know. Let me see. Let me go to the text line. Full phone. Stay right there. I'm going to get to all you guys tonight. However we do it, I'm getting to everybody. That's how we roll here. 925 chiming in, or the 510 chiming in saying, FP, love your show, brother. I loved Harrison's outing tonight. He pitched very well other than that one hanger to Harper. Yeah, I think the off speed is a work in progress with Kyle. I think if he gets a Mr. Snappy slider and maybe a wipeout changeup to go with 97, that he's going to be dominant. Digging what I saw tonight, though. Mound presence, body language, looked like he'd been there for 10 years, didn't look overwhelmed, did not look nervous, even though he probably was. His heart was probably pounding out of his chest. I'm facing Bryce Harper. Oh, my God, I'm facing Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper just took me deep. I mean, who cares? I didn't care. I tweeted. I'm at Fighting Hydrant, by the way, on Twitter, or X, or whatever the hell it's called now. We almost said something I should have about the owner of Twitter. We'll just leave that off the show. I mean, I think 10 years from now, saying you gave up your first home run to Bryce Harper is a cool thing. I don't know. I gave up my first home run to Bryce freaking Harper. I don't think there's anything to hang your head about, or your hat. Let's go to John in Santa Rosa. John, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Horrible loss, but I'm going to talk about something else. FP, I really believe that a lot of these issues with the Giants go back to Farhan. In the offseason, I knew we were not going to get Aaron Judge. That was probably not going to happen. So we signed Stripling, Manaea, Conforto, Haniger. And, I mean, these are guys, that were – Conforto's had a so-so year. I know Haniger's broken arm. That's out of his control. But Stripling's been hurt all year. Manaea's been up and down. I think the Giants just wanted to go on the cheap. You're rushing guys up from AAA that are not ready. I really feel sorry for Gabe Kapler because, I mean, he's tied with the roster he has. And I really think that Farhan has not constructed a good roster this year. I really believe that. I don't know how you feel about it, but, trade deadline sat on our hands, did nothing. And now
I don't know. I don't know that they sat on their hands and did nothing, John. And they definitely didn't sit on their hands in the offseason. They offered $700 million to two players. And that's a two-way street, man. It's not like you just go out and buy players. They say, okay, they got to want to come to you. And when you get to the trade deadline, also there's guys with no trade clauses in their contract that even if you have a deal, they got to want to come to you. I'm sure the Giants were super proactive during the trade. I heard as much. And I was in conversations with the manager telling me guys they were thinking about. Paul DeJong was one of them. So the fact that none of this happened, I guess, is the bottom line, right? It's a bottom line business. It's about wins and losses. And a win would be signing some big free agents, and a loss would be not. A win at the trade deadline would be getting some big players in here, and a loss would not. I would say at what cost, though, and I've said that all the time. If it's a seller's market in real estate or in a trade deadline scenario, when you have so many teams in the big leagues vying for these 3 wild card spots right now besides the division, you're going to get guys asking for your best players. And then do you want to give up your best players for a rent a player for 2.5 months? And I think, if you bid $1 million on a house and you end up paying 1.7 for it because it's a bidding war, I mean, that's what was going around here for a long time. It's not like that right now. And I think that example is kind of what the trade deadline was like. So I understand all of this, and I understand the frustration from Giants fans. But I feel like if there were some layers pulled back and some curtains pulled back, you'd find out that they're making efforts, but it's just not getting done for whatever reason.
Yeah, I understand that. But my point is, too, FP, I mean, you've got these guys, down in the minors, AAA. Now, some of these guys could become, Cy Young Award winners. Some could bat 300 for their career. But you don't know that, I mean, so it's just, I mean, I would think, you got to make a move. I mean, it's a gamble, but like I say,
Yeah,
but
John, you tell me what the move is. You can't come on and say make a move. Like what move? Like who do you want for who? Like if you make a move to make a move's sake, so that people don't call 808 KNBR on the night show, then you're the worst GM, president of baseball operations in the history of the world. So when you say make a move, why? To make you happy? Like you trade Patrick Bailey and Kyle Harrison for a guy for 2.5 months, and then you're happy? Just because they made a move and he did something and then it got the fans off his back? I think it takes more strength not to make a move. I think it takes more strength to stand pat versus just making a move to make a move's sake. Now, if you make a move that makes your team better and gets you in the playoffs, damn, I'm all for it. But if you make a move because you're worried about what people say in social media and you're worried about what fans say on KNBR, then you're not doing your job right.
Well, I'm just afraid, like you said, some of these guys now that are coming up from AAA are having to learn on the fly, and it's really tough on them. Like you said, pitching in AAA is a lot different than in the majors.
It's hard to play every day in A-ball, AA, and AAA and come up to the big leagues and not play every day because you've never done it. And now you're doing it at the highest level when the games count the most, the wins and losses count the most, and you're trying to establish yourself and be an everyday big leaguer, and you're not getting that chance. So how do I all of a sudden play 1 out of every 5 days? How do all of a sudden I play 1 out of every 7 days? Like, I don't know how to do that. Now, that may be exaggeration. I don't think these guys are sitting that long. But that part is valid. Also, John, if you come on here and say, I would have traded Luciano for this guy straight up, I'd say, okay, I'm for that. But, like, my whole thing on the show is if you want somebody fired, then you have to have somebody that you think can replace them that's better. And if you say there should be a trade, then tell me that trade and we'll talk about it. But if you just want somebody fired to be fired, or you want to trade for a trade, then just because you want to trade, then that doesn't resonate with me. Like, if you come on here, have some ammo. Say, like, you know what? We should have traded this guy for that guy. And I'll say, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I kind of like that trade. But if you don't like Farhan just because he didn't make a trade, then sometimes it's better if it takes more balls not to trade somebody.
Okay, thanks, FP.
All right, John. Good stuff, man. I appreciate it. It's a good debate. I like that stuff. It got me going. Steve in Oregon. Steve, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP.
What's going on, Steve? How are you tonight?
Doing great, man. Hey, have you ever seen this many rooks come up at this late in August?
No.
You ever seen this happen
No,
before?
not for a team that's contending for a playoff race. I have not. And not to say that it hasn't happened. That's just my recollection, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot.
For that route and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but that route that Meckler did off that triple or the inside the park home run, like you said, you don't know where the wall is. You got too close to the wall. It was an awful route, and I'm on board and wondering why Matos went down and Meckler came up. Although he does remind me.
Matos is here. Ramos went down, and I get those guys confused, Steve, all the time. I had the game the other day, and they were hitting back to back. It was Ramos then Matos. And then one was playing left and one was playing right. And then they switched, and then one played left and the other one played right. And then the next one they were in center, and I somehow got them right. I have no idea. But that was tough.
They need Yaz. They need Brebbia back.
They do.
And JD Davis is in a horrible hole right now. I don't know. He's so lost. Never seen him like this.
Yeah. Yaz, I love Yaz, and I love John Brebbia even more. That guy's like, these guys are the lifeblood of the team. And here's a little dynamic that maybe you know about, Steve, and maybe you don't. But when you're on the disabled list or the injured list, what they call it now, as a player, you feel like you don't belong. It's a weird dynamic, and I've talked to a lot of players about this. It's a weird feeling. You can't speak up like you normally speak up. You think guys are looking at you, and you have this complex like they're looking at you sideways, like you should be here. And maybe that's not happening, but your mind plays tricks on you when you're on the IL and you don't feel like you're a part of it. And with two guys that are such a big part of it, whether it's Brebbia or Yaz, I don't know how they're acting. I'm just relating to my own experiences. Yeah, hopefully they get better because these guys need Brebbia. They need Yaz. They need a spark wherever it is, whoever it is. They need a spark, whether it's the manager, whether it's a reliever, whether it's a backup infielder, whether it's a 22-year-old pitcher. They need a spark. They need somebody to say, let's go, man. Enough of this crap. The buck stops here. We're turning it around today. Can Casey Candell used to take batting practice in the cage naked with peanut butter on his junk to try to switch stuff up. So, yeah, I mean, whatever it takes right now. Desperate times, desperate measures.
Doval needs a break. Who fills in for him?
I think Tyler Rogers is pitching great, even though he gave up the home run the other night. He's pitching to weak contact. I mean, he looks good. He just gave up a homer the other night. But then the first one he gave up to a lefty all year. So I would pitch Tyler Rogers in that. Or I mean, thinking on the fly on live radio, Ryan Walker is nasty. I would love to see Ryan Walker come in the ninth and go like, I'm a closer. Watch this.
Here's my final take, FP, a spectacular hot take. The Cruz patch. It's the curse of the Cruz patch. But right now, the Giants couldn't even get a Chico's bail bond sponsorship.
All right, Steve. Yeah, I'll let you go out on top with the mic drop. Yeah, it's never a really good idea as a broadcaster for the team on a fill-in basis to crush the sponsor that's on the patch. So I'll just let you guys do it. And if I even giggle a little bit, I might get in trouble. Mike in Mountain View, you're on KNBR. What's going on? I think they cut back crews a lot in the city. I read an article this week that the DMV is not happy. Mike in Mountain View, you're on KNBR. What's going on, Mike in Mountain View? Jacob's like an octopus back.
I'm enjoying your conversation tonight, and I didn't call just to agree with you, but you did say a few things that were dead on point. And the first one is Kapler should really wear a uniform. I don't know where baseball got away with allowing guys to wear whatever they want in the dugout, but he certainly does not dress the part when he's wearing T-shirts in the dugout.
How about a black? How about a white tank top tomorrow, but with water on it, just like a see-through tank top?
It's like when he got thrown out of the game, he gets suspended because he doesn't leave the area. It's just there's
that's so dumb, though, Mike. That's so dumb that he got suspended. I mean, every manager in the history of the game that's got ejected stays right behind the dugout. Bobby Valentine wore sunglasses. Yeah, right? he wore sunglasses and he had the eye black patches as a mustache, like classic. Yeah. So that's just dumb. I can't believe he got suspended for that.
I'm not a big Kapler fan. I don't like when he jogs to the mound to make a pitching change.
It is kind of it's a different gait. I'll say that.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely different. But one of the things that you said, I don't like the Giants. I really don't like Kapler, but I watch a lot of the games because I am an NL fan, even though they don't let the pitcher hit anymore. But there definitely were 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years he went off script, and they both were Logan Webb. One was when Webb had the shutout where he won the 9th against Philly last year, and Schwarber hit the home run. And one of them was this year where he let him go in the 9th. And it was like such a sense of relief that he let a guy do something that was off script. But I do really wonder where he controls the script or if there's somebody else that's controlling the script and really dictating the moves that he makes. And I don't think it's unique to him. I think it happens to Cash in Tampa Bay. I think it happens to Roberts in L.A. There's a few other guys where I don't necessarily think they're making all the managerial moves.
You know what, though, Mike? Over 162 games, you have to have a relationship with your front office because you can't fight every day about a lineup. You can't be like, no, I want this guy. And he's like, no, you're playing this guy. So there's continuity there. There has to be because you just can't fight over your lineup or the moves that you make every day. So, you know, Gabe and Farhan, they've been together for a long time, and they think alike. And so there is continuity there. I'm sure there's healthy disagreements every once in a while, professional disagreements. But can you imagine the GM or the president of baseball operations putting 3 lineups on your desk and you don't like them, and you do that every single day, and how much energy and tension there would be there? So this is an organization-wide philosophy.
Yeah, I don't think it's the lineup. I think it's in-game moves. It's like when Cash pulled Snell out of the World Series game when the guy's dominating. But I know I've gone over, but the only other thing I want to say for all you 1993 Giants fans that hate the Rockies, this year your playoffs go through Colorado. You get Colorado 7
times. Yeah.
And I think
I'm okay with that, by the way. It's not like scaring me.
Well, but the games that they either don't get in by or they get in by, look back at the record versus Colorado the next 7 games, and that's your wild card or your sit at home.
Yeah, definitely agree. And you got to take advantage of the schedule when it eases up, and it ain't easing up for a while. Mike in Mountain View, good call, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, 818 chiming in, and you guys heard me all winter. Swanson was the shortstop to target last winter. I said it then, and I'm saying it now. Best value shortstop. I said it all winter. I watched Dansby play from this first game as Atlanta Brave till maybe he left as an Atlanta Brave, and he's a winning player. I don't know what the analytics say or the metrics are in him, but I just know that he knows how to win. And he's a shortstop that ain't going to wow you in one game, but if you watch him play for 6 months, he's going to be your favorite player because he's a winning player. And I don't know how much value there is today in winning players. And what is a winning player? It's somebody that doesn't care about their numbers. It's somebody that's a good teammate. It's somebody that's a consistent teammate that comes into the clubhouse every day the same, whether they're 0 for their last 10 or 8 for their last 10. And they do anything in the course of a game to beat you. It might not be a hit. It might not be a double off the wall. It could be hitting a 14 hopper to second when you're up by 1 to get that 2-run lead instead of a 1-run lead, and you end up winning by 1 run. It could be a diving play where you don't even make the play. You just keep the ball in the infield, and the runner from second doesn't score, and you strike out the next guy. Winning players find different ways to contribute to their team every day, and they're selfless. They don't care if they get the credit. They don't care. They don't have an ego. You got to have some ego, but they don't have a big ego. And Dansby Swanson is a guy that hits behind runners. He's a guy that'll steal a base when everybody in the park knows you got to steal. He's a winning player, and I agree with that. And I said that a lot this year. I have a man crush on this guy because I watched him win a World Series, and I watched him when he was kind of overmatched as a rookie, kind of blossom into this really good player. And a lot like Casey Schmidt. I mean, Casey Schmidt's a little overmatched right now, but I think with a maturation process and when things start to slow down for him and he gets more confidence in that he can play at this level, he's surging right now. But his approach is better, even though the results haven't been there yet this time around. You can see he made adjustments in his swing. Let's go. One more call before we go to break. Let's go to Peter in San Jose. Peter, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP, can you hear me?
I got you, bro. You're on the air.
Hey, I was thinking, I have like a theory. I feel like the Giants, there was a long time where they've been hitting back a little tiny bit better lately. So I think they've had some bad luck the other day. I don't think they would have come back anyways, but Meckler hit that ball super hard and Bohm, or however you pronounce his name, he was getting to everything. But I feel like there's a stretch where we were like going back to that Diamondback series before this bad stretch that we're in. They were like, how did we win that game? We won like 1-0 against Arizona, and then we were down 3-0 against Zach Gallen and ended up winning that one. So they were just finding ways to win despite the offense. You know, the offense has been just bad for like probably 2 months now. But I feel like now the baseball gods are kind of saying, you know, you had your fun, and even with the hitting getting a little better, now we're just getting bad breaks. And so we're kind of combining some bad play with bad breaks, because you need to have some good luck. And it's like today, the ball just gets by Estrada on that hit by Marsh. Ball goes off Duvall, so it barely misses Duvall. And then earlier in the game, we hit a line drive right off Walker. What's it do? It goes right to Turner. So I'm not saying, good teams are going to win games. I mean, good teams are going to win games, and bad teams are going to lose most of their games. But I feel like we've played some good games. But I think those bad breaks even out.
Yeah, the thing is, and I said it earlier, if you just play good baseball over 162 games and you try to do it every night and you're consistent with that, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And they've been inconsistent this year because of injuries, because of lack of consistent play, because of guys maybe being overexposed that weren't ready. And there's a lot of reasons. And then all of a sudden, you're right, Peter, like that's why you play 162. It'll all kind of shake out toward the end. I think winning the most games in baseball or whatever is super overrated, but I do think playing well in September is the most important thing. So what are we at? August 22nd. We knew August was going to be tough. It's proven to be tougher than maybe we even thought it would be based on how they're losing some ball games. But if they can weather this storm and still be right there in the wild card, I think the schedule eases up in September and maybe they catch fire. I don't know. But then the experience in me says you are what you are at the 130 game mark, and it's really tough to turn this thing around.
So what do you think? Do you think they have another run in them? Because I see some good things. I see finally we called up Kyle Harrison. He looked really nice, and I think maybe next start he'll be at home, I think, for his next start. So it'd be really nice if you get 5-6 innings out of him and then just build from there. But I think we might finally have some kind of semblance of a rotation. Maybe Junis can start pitching as a number 4 starter. I don't mind a bullpen game every 5th, but I feel like Duvall is still a stud of a closer. And like you said, Tyler Rogers, Taylor Rogers, Ryan Walker, you have a really good back end of the bullpen. I think they have pieces. Do you think they have another good run in them?
I'm hoping they do. I can't tell you either way. I really couldn't. I'd be lying to you. I really hope they do. I hope they get a spark from somebody. They start to gain confidence as a team. When they were winning those games and coming from behind, there was a good vibe around the ball club. I was around them a lot on a few road trips and then at the ballpark when they're here every day. I go to the field at 4 o'clock every day when I come on at 10 o'clock at night after the game. So I'm there at 4. I'm in the clubhouse. I'm talking to players. I'm talking to the manager every single home game. On the weekdays. Weekends I take off. So I'm around this team a lot. And when they were coming from behind, there was a confidence and a swagger that they don't have anymore. Because now they're losing games. And that thing's okay. When you lose games early in the season, you can flip the script. Late in the season, boy, man, it's really hard to turn around. So I hope they do. I hope they find a spark. I hope they catch fire. I hope the schedule eases up and the fans start coming back. Because the last homestand, it didn't seem like the crowds were as good. And, these guys, and it gets crazy around here in September. I'm just hoping for a wild and crazy September where we can all be super, super enthusiastic and interested about the Giants. Right now, everybody's kind of on the fence or jumping off the bandwagon. I hope it changes. I really do. I just don't know if it's going to, Peter. And I'd be lying if I said it's going to change. Stay with it. I wouldn't be authentic if I said that to you guys.
I just want to say I'd love for Crawford to come back and just have one more stretch of magic and be part of that. I think that would be like, I don't know, that'd be awesome if he could come back and kind of show that he's still his true self, at least for like a 1 month stretch would be pretty dope, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be cool. And you never know what's going to happen next year and just go out with a bang. Peter, thanks for the call, dude. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, dude.
All right. Somebody on the YouTube says FP Santangelo could care less that Farhan Zaidi lied. He promised they were going to get aggressive at the trade deadline. Just one more lie from Zaidi. I think he was aggressive at the trade deadline. He just didn't pull the trigger on any big trades. And the one thing I did say, and I said it publicly, and Farhan means well, but I don't think you just don't make big statements like we're going to be aggressive or we're going to sign big guys. Just go do it. Be a little stealthy. Keep your cards close to your vest. And I know what he's doing. He's super well spoken. He's a wonderful dude. I've been around him. He's a really good guy. It's just like he gets fired up and he wants to say, and he means to go out, and he probably did go out. And he threw $700 million at 2 players. And if you go behind the scenes for the trade deadline, he probably had 27 things on the table and he just didn't pull the trigger on them because it didn't make sense. So just don't say it. We're going to be active, or we're going to do our due diligence, or I don't care what you guys think. I'm on my own program and it's none of your business. I don't know, something like that. But he's a good dude. It's just not going his way right now. I don't think he lied. I think his intentions were there. It just didn't turn out the way maybe he and everybody in the front office wanted it to in the offseason and at the trade deadline. All right, coming up next on the other side of the break, we got Evan Webeck. He's in Philadelphia. I almost said Atlanta. He's in Philadelphia. He just wrote his piece on the Giants, so he's nice enough to join us after a long day at work. Beat writers get there earlier than I do. They get there at like 3 o'clock every day. And they're talking to players. They're writing things. Evan Webeck's one of the hardest working beat writers in the game. Nice enough to join us from Philadelphia next on the Sports Leader.
It depends on the player.
one thing we're seeing is that Camilo is using one pitch frequently, right? It's going back and forth between a synchronous cutter. So one of the conversations that we had with him, myself and Bales, and this is an ongoing discussion, is just to really, trust Pat Bailey behind the plate. He's going to put down fingers to mix the pitches, right? And in this particular case, we're not mixing enough. That's part of the concern right now in the ninth inning of games. Camilo all year long, and even dating back a really long time, has been especially effective because he's mixed his pitches and thrown his slider. So I just think that was one thing that was challenging in that inning, among other things, as you mentioned.
My eyes feel like they're gonna blink.
Yeah, that save opportunity Atlanta, I think it was on Sunday. Days, baseball season. Don't know him. He threw like 12 fastballs in a row to a righty. Was that a beat for? And I was like, to Trey Turner tonight, I watched him play like a slider down the way might have worked there. Fastball out of the zone. I think that's what he's trying to do. The one to Marsh was right down the middle 0-2 too. So yeah, there was some, like, we needed a few. I used to say last year on the show, like, he's throwing his slider too much. You throw 100, how hard now he's throwing his fastball too much. And I don't know if that's just Pat Bailey putting down one too much or fastball and the calm thing. So a lot of nice tweets on my Twitter. Somebody said, put your show on leaving Citizens Bank Park tonight. Outstanding. Definitely not a cookie cutter talk show. Very entertaining. Hope you're feeling okay. That must have been scary. It was scary. I'm not going to lie. Like, I thought I've never passed out. I thought I was done. I didn't know. I kind of panicked. Lisa Delaney tweets, sounds like it's the perfect time to enjoy an ice cold Tito's and Pedialyte. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Cheers to that. Somebody else put, losing control of mobility isn't something to ignore. See a good neurologist, have him or her check for TIA, I don't know what that means, or get an MRI, CT scan ASAP. Good neurologist, not HMO internment. Thank you for your concern, S Trader, S Scalper. I appreciate it. I had a segment planned last night that was going to be like reading tweets on the air, reading all the comments to a tweet, but like it doesn't fit now because the Giants have lost to it. If they won tonight, I was going to read it. If they won last night, because I tweeted out something that hasn't really aged well about don't jump off the bandwagon with this team in the last 2 days. It's like sometimes you tweet things, and I believed it at the time. They just don't play out like you'd like them. But sometimes it takes nerve to say stuff, and I said it in the comments. Oh my God, the comments. The tweet was, Giants were close to winning 2 out of 3 from one of the best teams I've seen in a long, long time in a really raucous, loud, enthusiastic environment. Don't jump off the bandwagon just yet. And then I got a bunch of the comments. I had 63 comments and like 600 likes. And some of the comments were hilarious, but they just don't fit right now because it's piling on and they were negative. And I was going to have fun, like the mean tweets. What is that on Fallon when they do mean tweets? I was going to read them. So maybe tomorrow if they win, we'll read them on the show. Once things get a little lighter, because it would be piling on if I read all your comments. So there was a lot of positive too of the like 70 comments on there. But there was a lot of funny negative ones. And I find humor in things that I'm not supposed to find humor in. All right, coming up next, Evan Wiebeck from the San Jose Mercury News is going to join us, talk about the game tonight, talk about the state of the Giants. He'll be with us on the other side of the break. You're listening to FP Santangelo on KNBR tonight, 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Throws over to first. He got him picked off. Harper took off with his first move, and now he's run down by Wade, who tags him out halfway between first and second, and the inning is over. The first pickoff there for Kyle Harrison.
Yeah, take that, Bryce. You take me deep, I'm going to pick you off. Giants lose a heartbreaker tonight, 4-3, and nice enough to join us from Philadelphia after a full day's work. From the Mercury News, Evan Webeck. Evan, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing? What's going on?
Happy to be here, talking live from one of my favorite cities on earth.
Are you at the bank still?
Oh, God, no. Back in my hotel room,
Good.
thankfully.
Good. Well, I mean, eventful day. The kid made his major league debut. I'm reading your article during the break. It's a great piece of the Mercury News. Check it out. It's not just about the game. It's about before the game and all the things Kyle Harrison went through today. The interesting part I found, and for those of you who don't know, a starting pitcher plays the music in the clubhouse the day he pitches. And Evan reported on this in his piece today. I thought it's cool. So, Evan, tell me about Kyle Harrison's music that he was playing in the clubhouse before his first major league start.
So that was my understanding too, FP, but I'm not entirely sure that it was Kyle Harrison's music.
Okay.
Because he was kind of talking with Tristan Beck and kind of commenting on what a strange selection of music it was. And it was really mellow, low key, a little bit of folk. And actually, one of my favorite songs in the world right now, Tyler Childers. I'm not a big country guy, but like the really good, like authentic Red Dirt. Kind of more bluegrassy country stuff. But yeah, he was just, chatting up Tristan Beck, who it seemed to be like, in addition to Logan Webb and Pat Bailey, probably the guy he's closest with in the clubhouse. And they're just making small talk, keeping it light and loose. They actually got to chatting about, like, hey man, like, what undershirt should I wear? Is it going to be too hot out there? Sometimes, like, you don't want to get too hot on the mound, but you don't want to get too cold. So it was just kind of a pretty funny little interaction that I thought, painted a picture. But, I went into the day thinking, wow, this is a big day in Giants history, probably the most exciting prospect to come up. I mean, maybe in addition to the Luciano little cup of coffee that we saw earlier this year, but most exciting prospect in a decade now. So it's a big day. So I went into it saying, I basically want to try to shadow this guy as much as I can throughout the day and just see what this debut is going to be like for him. So, I stayed in the clubhouse all 50 minutes of access that we got, tried to keep my eyes on him as much as possible, went out on the field, went out and watched him go out to the bullpen and warm up, and leading up to a start, which ended up being pretty electric. I mean, Bryce Harper got him, and it was a bit of a roller coaster ride there through the first time through the lineup. All strikeouts and extra base hits. It's the Kyle Harrison experience right now. But I think if there's one lesson to take away, I mean, that stuff plays against very, very good major league hitters.
It was weird that the lefties were getting hits off him, wasn't it?
That was such a weird anomaly, right? Because one thing that stuck out to me through his numbers in the minors this year were his splits, but not for that reason, for the opposite reason. Righties were crushing him this year. He had like a 900 OPS in the minors against him. I think he had given up 10 home runs, and they were all righties, and then Bryce Harper comes up and shows him what the big leagues are like. But, I don't think there's any shame in giving up a home run to Bryce Harper. We've seen that happen a lot.
Talking to Evan Webeck from the Mercury News. He's in Philadelphia right now, covered Harrison's first big league game. When you talk, I mean, what a great experience for a kid to have your first game in that ballpark, in that atmosphere. And I think, Evan, if you look back on it, and I said this earlier today, like 10 years from now, you gave up your first homer to Bryce Harper. It's kind of cool. I mean, all of it was kind of cool, right?
Strikeout, Trey Turner.
Yeah,
That's
it's a couple of the best players in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome environment in Philly. I actually, in the ninth inning we were in the press box, and usually it's a little bit muted up there. My ears were ringing when the Phillies were rallying there in the ninth, and obviously with the walk-off, and not the way Kyle wanted his debut to end, but no fault of his. But I turned to Susan Slester right next to me, and I just said, man, I love Philly. And then she told me, they either love you or they hate you. And then all of a sudden they started booing, and I forget for what reason. But it's like, they can love you and hate you at the same time, too. It's a passionate fan base. And, I spent the summer out here covering the Phillies for an internship, and it was awesome getting to know this fan base. And that was during a pretty dreadful 2016 season, and fans still showed up to the ballpark there. And just driving through South Philly, getting to the ballpark, you look in the windowsills, it's Phillies pennants everywhere. It's a really cool place and a great fan base. But I think Kyle is going to be more excited to be making his home debut, just a short drive from where he grew up, right?
That'll be cool. And I'm with you, Evan. It's one of my favorite cities in the league. One of my favorite ballparks, one of my favorite cities. The fan base is unlike any other. Whether you love them or you hate them, they're super passionate about their team. If you play hard, they love you. If you don't play hard, they boo you. If you play well, you're a hero. It's just a great place. I mean, even the food room, the media dining with Frankie Two Scoops, the Frank giving me the ice cream.
Oh my God!
Every broadcast every broadcast I had there was horrible because I would eat so much food in the media dining that I would be comatose on the broadcast. I'd just be staring at the game, going, "I probably should analyze this play, but I have food coma and I don't feel like talking."
Frank's a legend, man. He remembered me.
That's so cool. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, we'll get to the game in a second. Let's BS a little bit about your internship in Philadelphia. I didn't know you covered the Phillies. What a great place to get going and get your start.
Absolutely, man. It was the way they do it with, sadly, this opportunity doesn't exist anymore. It was with MLB.com. It used to be this annual thing where they'd send out college students to all 30 cities and basically give them on-the-job training to become MLB beat writers. But unfortunately, they did away with the program a couple of years ago, and it was really a jumping-off point for a lot of the writers that you see today around baseball. But what they do is they allow you to put a preference of 3 cities, right? And I was totally unfamiliar with Philly. In fact, I probably had a negative connotation with it. I was a little disappointed when I ended up getting assigned it. And I come out here completely blind and just completely fell in love with the city. Truly, one of the best food cities in America. So much culture and history here, and like we've been talking about, the people are just tremendous, passionate, and a really cool underground, DIY music scene too. I really got into that, going to a lot of small shows here, and there are a lot of artists that I'm into that have been based out of here. So it's really, and obviously only 90 minutes from New York too, if that. So it's a great place, and if anybody listening hasn't been, I highly suggest making the trip out here, maybe for the Giants series next year, because getting to experience that ballpark is it's very cool.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Hey, I'm with you. People ask me my favorite cities in the National League, and I say Philly's right up there with the best, and they look at me sideways like, really? I'm like, yeah, I love it there. And I used to go up in the winter from D.C. all the time on Amtrak on the Acela and go up there just to hang out for a weekend. That's how much I loved it. Talking to Evan Wiebeck, nice enough to join us after a long day at work, so we really appreciate him coming on the show. I don't even know where to go, dude. This team has been gut punched a couple of times. They seem to be snake bit. Gabe's, I just said, I opened the show with I don't want to go to Vegas with Gabe right now because it seems like every move he makes is not working, and that you just get in those ruts as a manager, sometimes as a play caller in the NFL. If you're a head coach, you get in those ruts. And right now, walking Schwarber to get to Trey Turner, he was looking for a double play from the fastest guy in the league. Schwarber's hitting 185, but I understand because that's how he does it. Did anybody ask him about that after the game, and what did he say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a no-doubt decision at that. I mean, you're down 2-0 in the count, you have first base open, and, I mean, Trey Turner, I mean, obviously a great track record, but a guy who's been struggling a lot this year. And, I think, Camilo had a pretty competitive at-bat before he lined that one up the middle. So I'm not necessarily questioning the decision to put Schwarber on there. Especially, you set up the double play at home, and I think you're right on the nose with snake bit. Gabe used the word gut punch after this one, and that was quite a bit more emotion than he usually displays. But obviously on to the next one, right? And that kind of mindset. I just think this is a team that didn't have a lot of margin for error, and they were skirting by, really. I mean, you look at the run. Their run differential on the season, and it's right around even. Even look at the Padres, right, who are quite a bit worse in the standings and are like plus 50 or so, and the Giants are right around plus 0. I'm actually, when they got blown out yesterday, they were very close to dropping into a negative run differential. I'm not sure if they did that with the loss today, but they're pretty close. And basically ever since that 10-game winning streak, it's kind of all just crumbled apart. And maybe this is, we've seen a little bit less success in the bullpen games of late. Maybe that's catching up to them. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries. The young guys have dropped off, and that was really what was fueling that success and what was so fun early in the season, right? It was like seeing Casey Schmidt come up and be red hot. Pat Bailey, who's obviously still contributing. The Luis Matos looked a lot better his first 2 weeks in the bigs. And we're just not seeing those contributions right now. And, when you factor in some of the other young guys who have come up recently, and it's having quite a bit of a negative effect on the team, frankly, but whether you want to get into the Wade Meckler situation at all. But
sure.
Yeah, it's just a team that didn't have a lot of margin for error, and it kind of seems to be falling back to earth a little bit.
And what about Meckler? I mean, I'm getting a lot of text message and calls tonight, Evan, from fans saying that why was Ramos sent down and Meckler kept? What did they tell you, and what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that is the way it was explained to us is it's a purely platoon situation, essentially. Ramos is a righty and Meckler's a lefty. But I do think it is pretty telling how those two prospects have been handled. Gabe has really gone out of his way this week, and really ever since he was called up to defend Meckler, whether starting with getting ejected, arguing balls and strikes, to literally bringing him up unprompted pregame yesterday to go a good 2-3 minute spiel on nerves and why he doesn't think Meckler's overmatched, and it's a little bit different pitching style, and he's not seeing the same types of pitches that he did in the minors when he obviously did nothing but rake, and which is why he raced to the majors faster than anyone in his draft class outside of the Angels organization, and the Angels really handle their prospects differently than anyone else. But it's really looking like, I mean, it was a big risk to take, and it's looking like it wasn't necessarily the right move. And I don't necessarily want to go as far as to say it was organizational malpractice, but they could have Luis Gonzalez on the roster, and they wouldn't have started Wade Meckler's service time clock. They would have an additional 40-man spot that's not going to be taken up by Wade Meckler, and even a Bryce Johnson type could maybe be a more productive major leaguer right now. But this is not to pile on Wade Meckler at all. He's a great dude, and he really faced took accountability last night after obviously those struggles in center field that led to the inside to the park home run and Trey Turner advancing, eventually scoring. And he's been a total pro about it. I just feel like he's maybe been put into a not great situation that was kind of out of his hands, because if this guy was just at AAA, everybody would be so excited about him, right? His first 10 games with Sacramento hits 400, and then he gets the call to the bigs, and it's not deer in the headlights, but the stat line looks that way for sure. And he's had some bad luck too. I mean, man, he lines. I think it was yesterday, lined a pitch in one of his last at bats. So it was really hard off the bat, one of his best hit balls, and it was right into the glove of the first baseman. And then obviously today he actually gets the single and then gets picked off first. But a better game defensively for him today. He had that diving, sliding catch in center, and then made the diving attempt and ultimately trapped the ball. Which, I mean, Gabe really praised his aggressiveness and said, he's showing that he's not afraid and he's not changing his game. But on the flip side, they have allowed 2 inside the park home runs in the past week, and very nearly could have been a third, and all 3 would have been attributed to Meckler in center.
Yeah, the one at Oracle was weird. It hit the top of the fence and took a bad hop. But yeah, I played a lot of center field in my career. There's a lot of nuances to it, and he's only played 20 games in center field in the minor leagues this year, and he had a .939 fielding percentage. And it's a work in progress. I just hope I'm rooting for the kid. It's kind of, you feel for him right now, but it's also a bottom line business, and you're trying to win, and you're trying to get to the playoffs. And how long can you stick with him? And you hope that he turns it around, and he finally gets a knock. And I was talking about it, Evan. There's nothing better than getting a knock your first time up to relax you. And then he gets picked off. And it's just like, oh, my God, this poor kid right now. He can't do anything right. And we're all rooting for him.
What else can go wrong?
Well, I mean, right? It's just like, and there's no worse feeling than running off the field as a player than getting picked off. It's just like, you just want to crawl in a hole and hide, but you got to run all the way back to the dugout, especially on the road. Well, no, at home's bad too, because the fans are like, there's a murmur in the crowd. So it's never good to get, trust me, I've done it. It's never good to get picked off. So hopefully his thing turns around. Evan, this late in the season, with what's going on with this ball club, the injuries and the way they're playing and how they're losing, and we're all rooting for them and we want this to turn around. Do you think they turn it around? And if you do, how do they turn it around?
Yeah, I mean, it just, tying it together with the Meckler point, it's probably not likely that he's going to be on the roster for too much longer. Mike Yastrzemski's on the mend, and I think the same could probably be said for Luis Matos with Mitch Haniger starting a rehab assignment today, actually, which will give them a more powerful right-handed bat, which, maybe when you get Yaz back and Haniger back, it could help the offensive woes, which, really just haven't gotten better. There have been, starts and spurts and stops and starts. But for the most part, it's just been more of the same ever since, really the end of that 10-game winning streak in mid-June. And I think it's a lot to ask for especially a guy like Haniger, who's been out basically that entire time, and is going to be coming off a multiple month-long absence, probably only going to get a few rehab games under his belt to come and ignite the offense. And this is a guy who took a little bit of time to get heated up when he was healthy at the start of the season too. It's not great, FP. And you look at the schedule. You do have big series coming up. Surprisingly, the San Diego one looms a little bit, actually, kind of large. 4 games against the Padres, who, if they lose that, could actually get pretty close to overtaking them in standings. And obviously, the Cubs right after that, right in front of them. I'm not sure what the finals, if the D-backs game has gone final yet, but they were leading in the 7th inning, and if they win that game, they will knock the Giants completely out of the wild card standings for the first time in a while. We talked to Ryan Walker today, who got back from paternity leave with a happy, healthy baby and wife. Which is good news, but he said, "Yeah, I heard we fell out of the wild card race," and it was like, "Well, not quite, but hanging on by a thread, man."
Oh man, yeah. All right, last one, and I'll let you go. You had a long day. Best cheesesteak place in Philly. What's your favorite?
Oh, you got to go just outside of the city. If take a bike ride along the Schuylkill, go up and get a D'Alessandro's steak. But
I've heard that before. Like they use different steak or something. Am I right? No,
I don't know the secret, but it's absolutely the best. But ultimately, it's not the best. It's the most convenient. And when it's late at night and I just want Uber Eats, Oregon Steaks is available, and it's not Pat's or Gino's. So,
have you tried the clubhouse ones? I heard the guy in the visiting clubhouse, makes the best cheesesteaks in the whole town.
Yeah, man. I wrote a first-person story last year on our trip to Philly because I had heard the legend, and I was asking around, and one of the guys, the team's video guys, Fernando Perez, just happened to see me asking around. He was like, "You look so enthusiastic. I need you to try this." So he went and rounded one up for me, and it's up there, man. Actually, that might rival D'Alessandro's. We told Kyle Harrison about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I've heard about it." And like, "You want to do 3 before your start?" He's like, "No." I hear the record's 10 and
the kid from the Nationals. What's the kid's name from the Nationals? He ate 10.
Oh man, I don't know. Go Google it with MercuryNews.com, and I think I have the info in that story. It was a fun one to read. And go subscribe while you're at it.
Yeah, go subscribe to Evan Weback from the Mercury News. He's nice enough to join us after a long day at work. Evan, get some sleep or go out and eat some cheesesteaks, have some beers, whatever you're going to do. But thanks for coming on the show, dude. I really appreciate it.
The Philly special.
The Philly special. All right, Evan, take care. I'll see you when you get home.
Thanks, FP.
Evan Weback does a great job, man. You got to follow him on Twitter. You got to follow him on the Mercury News. Most cheesesteaks, hold on, I'm Googling, eaten in Philly's visiting, it's a record, clubhouse. So they make the cheesesteaks there in the clubhouse, the clubby there. And they're apparently the best cheesesteaks in Philly at the Citizens Bank. And I think the record was by a Nationals player. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I'll get it for you on the other side of the break. That's a good tease. 808 KNBR is the number. We'll take your calls. The Giants lose a heartbreaker to the Phillies 4-3. I haven't even gotten to all. I have so much on the Niners I want to talk about tonight. But I guess the story is, and we're playing the headline tonight, is the Giants, and it looks like the Diamondbacks are up 6-3 late. So the Giants are about to fall out of the wild card for the first time in forever. So your call's next on the Sports Leader.
complete non-issue. We do a really good job of turning the page. We'll obviously examine the things that happen in tonight's game, but we're not going to lose any sleep over it. Tomorrow's a day game. We'll come back and get ready to play the Phillies. That's it. We do that every night, win or lose, and baseball is not a game that you can kind of sit in the last game for very long. So as soon as you guys walk out of here, we'll obviously have some conversations and turn the page, get ready for tomorrow.
All right, that was Gabe saying turn the page. That's all you can do in baseball. I mean, if you start taking losses and the next day they pile up. So it's all you can do is win tomorrow, happy flight back, and hopefully figures this thing out. Let's go to Ellie in the city. Ellie. Eli? Eli. I'm so dizzy I can barely see the board right now, and I'm not lying. Ellie, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FB, it's Eli. How are you?
All right, Eli, how are you, buddy? Thanks for calling. I'm literally delirious at this point, man. I appreciate you calling.
No. It's all good. I appreciate your work, man. And it was fantastic to see Kyle Harrison tonight. He's going to be an absolute stud, and really fun to watch him do. Watching the offense struggle has been tough, but I think relying on the bullpen to go 5, 6, 7 innings most days just isn't sustainable. Going into the trade deadline, I think that the organization was feeling really good about the opener theme, but to kind of lean on that going into August, September, and potentially the postseason, I think may have been a mistake. My thoughts are really mostly about the overall direction of the organization at this point, because, every night you have at least one caller who reminds everybody about 10, 12, and 14. And I enjoyed those years tremendously, don't get me wrong, but almost a decade on from the last World Series, I got to say I'm a little tired of hearing that success used to excuse today's struggles. And, I think this past 10 days to 2 weeks has really distilled for Giants fans that this team is not in the same class as the Rays, Rangers, Braves, or even the Phillies at this point. So, for me, when you look at those lineups and how hard those teams swing and hit the ball and just the raw power numbers, frankly, it makes me want to see that here in San Francisco. And I know the organization is built around the ballpark with pitching and defense as the priority. But my question for you is really about just the makeup of the team and the direction of the organization, and whether you can build a consistent winner with all the mixing and matching, the platoons, the roster turnover, trying to revive struggling players who have had past success. I'm curious what it's like as a player when you're on a team that, has high expectations for winning, yet falls into that latter category of not having that kind of intimidating lineup, but is relying on, essentially the front office to make moves to maximize players.
Well, Eli, here's the thing, and the 20,000-foot view from this right now isn't great. And so we're getting wrapped up in the heartbreaker to the Phillies tonight, and I've been saying all year long, that Shohei Ohtani wants to win. And we were so excited about the way the team reeled off 10 in a row. They were winning. And then that starts to play, and this is an attractive landing spot for him. I don't think he's going where the most money is. He doesn't want to go to New York. He doesn't want to be that far away from home. It sounds like he wants to stay on the West Coast. And for this team to land a big free agent like that, and they have the money to do it and the means to do it, they had to win this year. So September's going to be huge in that regard. And maybe it's too late. I don't know how that whole thing works. But the one thing I speculated, Eli, on the show last night is if you're a free agent, and these guys talk more than ever. They text. They're all in the fantasy leagues. You get free agents to come in for a one-year deal. They're telling guys that maybe I came here to start and I'm not. Maybe guys are like, yeah, I like it here because I like being used off the bench. And so there's probably a lot of different takes among the 26 guys or 36, however many have played here this year. But players talk. And I always say that San Francisco Giants are the classiest organization. They treat their players the best. They treat the families the best anywhere I've seen. I'll put them up with the best franchises in sports, with the best fan base, a beautiful ballpark, all that stuff. But then you start to get into the minutia of it where players are talking about how they're being used and what's going on, and you wonder what's being said. And that part has to be concerned for the longevity of the franchise because unless you like win the World Series and all of a sudden everyone's like, it's the greatest place ever. Because players talk and families talk and wives ask how they're treated. Like there's probably nobody that can say a bad thing about how the families are treated or the players are treated here or how they travel or where they stay or the ballpark or the fan base. Those are all A pluses. But the one thing you start to worry about is like, starters being used as feature guys and guys that want to start. And this is a ballpark that pitchers would like line up to pitch in for 81 games a year, right? And then, so that part you wonder about. You do. You have to. If you're not seeing that clearly, you have to wonder about that. And then you wonder about position players in platooning and how they would feel about it. Some guys probably like to only play 3 or 4 days a week. Some guys probably would rather play 7 days a week. So it's like different strokes for different folks. And you want this to be an attractive landing spot for all the reasons I mentioned that are in place and have always been in place and will always be in place. But then you wonder about the winning aspect to get Ohtani, and then you wonder about how players are used and how they are either agreeing with it and buying into it or not agreeing with it and not buying into it and what they're saying around the league. Because that's the main thing. That's the main draw. If you're going to get X amount from this team and X amount from that team, I did that as a free agent. I was a nobody. I texted Brad Ausmus with the Tigers, and he called me, and we had like a 20-minute conversation like, how's Phil Garner? I mean, I'm aging myself right now. He was the manager of the Tigers. And how's Detroit? How do you like it there? How do they treat the families? How do they treat the kids? These are the things you ask around as free agents. And how you win World Series is like, yeah, it's great here. The teammates are awesome. We have a blast. It's a close-knit bunch. I love it here. They treat the families great. The family moves great. The travel is great. Our hotels are great. The fan base is great. We don't live here. We live there. This is where we live. It's a good city. And the manager's great, and the GM's great, and they treat you great. Okay, I'm signing there. I mean, that's how these things go. And we sit there and go like, well, they offered him X for this many years, but it's a lot. There's so many layers to this onion when you sign as a free agent with the team.
Yeah, and I hear that now, and I appreciate hearing your perspective. Certainly, it's I think the success of the organization is very clear and on the record, right? We have one of the most valuable organizations in Major League Baseball. Operating income is top 2 or 3. This development across the Lefty O'Doul Bridge, this quote unquote village that is about to kind of expand and boom in its own right, yet the organization isn't spending. And I know they made those offers last off season, but eventually you have to close a deal. And I just wonder, hearkening back to my initial thought about, using 10, 12, and 14 as some level of justification a decade on, does it feel like this organization has, a level of urgency required to get this team back to kind of being a consistent winner?
Yes, they do. How they go about it, I'm not sure, but yes, they do. They want to win. They want to be in the playoffs. They want another parade. And like I said, it's always a two-way street signing players. You just don't like go out and say, you're ours. They have to want to, it's like a marriage, right? For 5, 10 years, whatever the contract is. It has to be agreeable. You have to say, I do, and you have to say, I do, and then you do it. And that's a big part of free agency that I feel like we forget about sometimes, that it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to September, and hats off for all the work you're doing.
Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Really good stuff. Really good calls all night tonight. On the other side, we're going to play the post-game wrap again. I'm seeing double. We're going to play the post-game wrap on the other side of break on the Sports Leader. Our lineup here at KNBR is stacked every day, from Murph and Mack in the morning, Papa and Lund in the afternoon, Tolbert and Copes and Drive Time. My favorite show still, with all those guys doing such a great job, is the post-game wrap. So we are allowed to play that for you guys when we want. And I always think Hunter Pence is a great addition to it. So here from tonight is the post-game wrap.
All right, it's post-game wrap time here in Philadelphia. Dave, Hunter, John with you after a really, really tough night for the Giants. All the excitement of Kyle Harrison, and it was so fun to see him out there on the mound, and he doesn't last in the game as long as maybe you would have liked, but you see all the exciting things that the Giants and so many people around baseball love about him, and then you rally and you take a lead and ultimately get your closer in the game, who's the best in the business these days. And the Phillies, that's how good these Phillies are. When you beat Camilo Doval, you've accomplished something, and they beat him tonight. They did.
Yeah, they got to him. They had some really good at-bats. They didn't try to do too much, and they found the holes. They hit the ball hard up the middle. It's a good approach. It's a veteran lineup that is coming off going to the World Series, and they added a Trey Turner to the mix, who's heating up. Bryce Harper heating up, but the Giants are really dealing with a lot of heartbreak and a lot of tough games, and the elevation that Harrison brought today and lifted you up, and most of that game you were riding high as the Giants, so you're going to have to respond. It's tough to take that dagger at the end, and the Phillies, they just earned it. This was a good, well-played ball game all the way around.
And they finally got that hit, and even then there was sort of an asterisk next to that hit. I mean, it looked like it hit Camilo's glove, and you had a replay. He immediately looked at his glove to see if the ball was there. He thought maybe he'd caught it.
And even, if he doesn't touch that ball, that, Tyro was playing right there. There's a potential he catches that. And just think about it. Bailey hit a line drive off of Taijuan Walker, and it bounced off of him into the shortstop's glove. It's just the bounces are not going our way, and it is punishing.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. Baseball is crazy, John.
And the Giants had their chance. The Phillies, they got those runs. There was a little bit of good luck maybe on it, but he hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
And the Giants had the leadoff walk in the 6th, and they couldn't do anything with it. They had the leadoff double in the 8th and couldn't do anything with it. So, and they got about 3 different really good breaks, 2 errors, and a hard ground ball that hit second base and shot over the head of Trey in the first inning, and still only got 1 run out of all of that. So there were regrets to go around in that ball games for sure.
We did get a couple opportunities, and it was basically that first inning where we could have really kind of taken off right there and rattled them a bit, but missed the opportunity, like you said, with the double, and not executing, getting guys over. A lot of strikeouts, and it's definitely tough. But I think Tyro Estrada's at bats were a lot. Wilmer Flores doing his thing. So the heart of the order is looking solid, but we're not fully all there deep. And I think when you get a Haniger back, we need you.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference between these two teams. The whole rally started and was built by the bottom of the Phillies order against Camilo. And all series, Sosa, big game last night, stopped. They can't get him out. The bottom of their lineup is doing it, and the Giants' bottom of the order right now is just not deep enough and not really contributing, and that is a massive difference between these two teams.
Yeah, and that's all too true. And on the other side of it, for me, this is a team that went to the World Series last year. These are the guys. They know how to win. They know how to play, and they've been through that. And for the Giants' young guys, there's so many of those young guys, including Kyle Harrison in his debut tonight. I think a lot of those guys thought, wow, we came that close to beating these guys. We were right there, and it was maybe a bad hop away from still hanging on to win that ball game. So they played right with them, and this game, it had that October kind of a feel. So you can't teach that in Sacramento, or you have to be here in this kind of a thing. And you know that better than anybody, Hunter. You've been through it many times.
Yeah, and I don't think that the expectation is we're playing with these guys who went to the World Series. I think this team, they expect to win, and they're looking to go to the playoffs, and they've worked hard, and they come prepared, and they grind. So the expectation isn't, we're playing with these guys. They're out here to win. They're out here to win the whole thing. They know they have the talent to do it. They believe they can do it. And, so we're seeing it. We easily could have won 2 out of 3 against the Braves. We easily could have won this game. We're right on that cusp, and a little bit of depth goes a long way. And like I said, I think we really are missing a Mitch Haniger. I think we need to, but there was a lot of positives today. Getting Thairo Estrada back has been huge, and seeing Jock stay hot. Jock took over this game with that huge double that he hit, made some big plays in the outfield. So you're right, though. We had some opportunities that we didn't cash in on, and these Giants, they're young, they're talented, and I do think that they expect to win. They are heartbroken that they lost this game.
When the Phillies made some mistakes, the Giants, since Gabe Kapler came to the Giants, the Giants were 12-3 against these guys in the 4 years until the last 2 days. And one of the reasons is that the Giants have played well, strong defensively, and the Phillies make a lot of mistakes. That's been their Achilles heel. And they made mistakes tonight, and they got away with them. So even late with that double by Matos, somebody should have caught that ball. There was a mix-up in the outfield. They both looked at each other and let the ball go, but they did not capitalize on those mistakes. So,
big part of the story of the game. We'll pick players when we come back.
All right, that was the post-game wrap from earlier tonight. You guys were awesome tonight, man. Hey, hang in there, Giants fans. Things will turn around. At least you're hoping they're going to turn around. Giants lose a tough one, 4-3 tonight. A walk-off win for the Philadelphia Phillies. It looks like the Giants are going to fall out of the wild card for the first time in a long time. So hopefully, getaway day win tomorrow, get home, figure things out. But this is part of the journey, right? It's part of the ride. Buckle up. Put your helmet on, put your chin strap on, put your mouthpiece in. September is going to be a wild ride. Just got to get through August, man. Just got to get home. Get these guys home. Get them to Oracle Park, and hopefully they figure things out. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. You never know what's going to happen. It just doesn't look great right now. But that's a baseball season, man. You have your ups and downs, and hopefully there's some ups coming for these guys and for you guys. Thanks for all the calls tonight. You guys are amazing. Jacob on the other side of the glass, he was like an octopus. There were so many calls. He was like pressing buttons, answering phones, working his ass off like he always does. So thank you, Jacob. I'll be back tomorrow night, normal slot, 6 to 10 p.m. Don't forget to leave your station right here for Murph and Mac in the morning, the best morning show going. And always, always listen to KNBR 680, 104.5. And like I say on the way out every single night, swing hard in case you hit it on the Sports Leader.